a year has gone by very quickly, and as will come later in formal speeches, etc., within this chamber, thank you for your support and attendance at meetings over the last 12 months. Before we start, those who are able, please stand forward.
Lord, as our Mayor's term in office draws to a close, we give particular thanks for John and Marion, our Mayoress, for the work they have undertaken over the past 12 months on behalf of the town and the Mayor's chosen charities. The days after Easter remind each of us of the importance of our own journey with Christ on our road to Emmaus. As we take time to pause and so consider and reflect upon our journey through life and the route we each choose to take. May the Lord step beside each of you as you commit yourselves to the tasks which lie before you and the path you each commit to for the coming civic year ahead. May we all be given grace, compassion, and help to use our gifts and talents wisely and well. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, as you will see, we have a fairly long agenda. I do not intend to have matters just dwelt over or people making long speeches. They will be succinct and to the point. Otherwise, I will bang the gavel and ask you to stop and get back on track to where it should be. Anyone is entitled to speak as normal. I will just ask you to catch my attention, Town Clerk or Deputy Mayor, and I will just annotate when you wish to speak and will call you in order. If I get a long list of initials, periodically I will just pause and identify who is to speak next and people speaking after. Okay? As we move on then, do we have any questions from the public? I'm advised that there are two. One from Lisa, followed by the gentleman at the back. So, Lisa, if you'd like to say who you are and the area that you come from, and then ask a question, please.
Lisa Evans, Evesham Observer. Now that NatWest has announced the closure date of their Evesham branch, I wondered what the council's position on this is with regarding to finding a new community owner for Roundhouse. Secondly, I'd like to know whether councillors have been involved in speaking to NatWest executives about this important matter, as they said they are still seeking a permanent home, and indeed what are councillors' thoughts on this. Thank you.
Okay, my understanding is that the council officers have not been asked or approached directly by NatWest, and that they, as the owners, are completing the restorations at their own cost, and it will come open later on. Yeah, I've seen one or two hands go up. I'll just ask the town clerk if she can add anything of whether or not any identification has been noted. I saw a hand come from Emma first, followed by Julie.
Well, NatWest haven't approached us to ask for anything, Tom, that's what I was wondering. We did have which been involved, and we had an early email exchange, and they said that they were off talking to people about the future, and that is all I know. We haven't had any updates since.
Thank you.
Thank you, sorry, the microphone doesn't appear to be...
No, unfortunately there is still a technical problem.
Yeah, it's called painful.
I'll speak in my normal volume, that's probably suffice. Yes, just to say to... Is it Lisa or Lise? I'm not sure.
Lisa or Elise, that's both.
Okay. My thoughts, as you asked for Councillor's thoughts, is yes, it's an absolutely beautiful, iconic building, rather like the Armoury, but it is a Grade 1 listed building, and as a town council, unless we were to receive a vast amount of money. Personally, I think it would be a financial liability that we would not be able to undertake. It's, I mean, we know what it's cost for the Armoury. Having said that, it would depend, wouldn't it, on what condition NatWest have left it in. If it's been completely renovated and everything is in tip-top condition, it will probably last that way for all of us except the young ladies out there. So those are my thoughts on it. It could be a big financial liability.
Okay, thank you for your comments, and obviously duly noted. As and when any progress is made, if it is even offered to the Town Council, that will then become an agenda item for a future meeting and will be discussed in detail by the Council at that time. Okay, Julie?
Yes, this morning I was informed by the Chief Executive of Wychavon that Historic England is looking to do an options appraisal on the building. So I think when that is completed, we'll have more idea.
Okay. Lisa, you happy with those comments?
I was thinking, I didn't know whether council had actually been proactive. I mean, it's quite a key building, isn't it, in the marketplace /square. So I thought perhaps that being proactive, they're obviously asking for people to come forward. So that, yeah, I was possibly thinking that maybe council has been proactive in trying to get something happening, if I'm honest.
Well, I wonder, these are only personal thoughts. I'm not making these comments on behalf of the council, but I would have thought that until a positive approach is made by the owners, i.e. NatWest, we should just simply maybe think about things for the future, what, if, how, but until something positive happens, I think we just have to monitor what is happening and see. But that will be for future discussion, that will come at future meetings. Really.
Mayor, I think it's worthy of note that should the Evesham Town Council take on the Booth Hall or the Roundhouse or the NatWest building, whatever we decided to call it, is
Bobby,
one of the.
Can you speak up?
It is one of the questions that we're asking at the LGR meetings. The public meetings that were open to the public on which assets you want the Town Council to take over when unitary is formed, and is the Booth Hall one of those assets, is one of those questions. So we'll get a public opinion from that.
Yes.
Sorry, what sorry, what meeting? I couldn't quite hear you said.
It's the LGR meetings, the open meetings. We've got one on Saturday the 19th.
9 till 3.
Sorry, what's that?
18th.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if you'd like to just give your name, the area that you live, and then pose your question, please.
Andy Mellor, Evesham North. Mr Mayor, thank you. On the 16th of February, I addressed the Council with regards to some Mayoral allotments as a potential site for a new cemetery. That evening, you were having a closed session to discuss this. The following day, a councillor who was at the meeting calls me to inform me, that the vote had been passed for a new site and the allotments were not going to be used. The discussion then went on to the potential costs for that new site and the fact that only 22% of the population actually wanted a new cemetery. A month later, I then received an email to attend a meeting on either the 19th or 20th of March to discuss the future of the allotments. The same councillor stands in front of us with the town clerk and tells us the allotments are now the proposed site for the cemetery, mainly due to the cost of offsetting the biodiversity of the planned site to the tune of £300,000. Although in the letter sent up to the allotment holders on the 27th of March, it simply states the land is simply not suitable. So, hey, which one is it? In August last year, I asked the town clerk for the following information. In the last 15 years, how many plots of land have been investigated, what has happened to those plots since, and how much taxpayers' money has been spent on the exercise. She asked me not to put it in a freedom of information and she would send me it. It's now April, and guess what? Yeah, that's right, I've still not received it. So I can only assume it's quite a considerable amount. So I say this to this council. Leave the allotments alone, Have some respect for your own heritage and stop wasting taxpayers' money on something that is not a statutory requirement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear.
Andy,
Yeah.
can you resend that email to me again? We investigated lots of bits of land.
Joe, you had all the information last August. I reiterated this to Sarah back in February, and I've still not had the information. Actually, when I spoke to Sarah in February and said, she looks at me as if saying, geez, that's a lot. Well, it is a lot, but that's what I'm asking for. It could have been a freedom of information. You told me explicitly not to use the freedom of information. August last year, it's now April.
Okay. Well, that's fine. We've got all that information. We have investigated a great many sites.
Yeah.
And we're still looking now.
Yeah, and you're still spending taxpayers' money. I'm done.
Just to say that any requests...
was before you.
What I was initially going to say was, could you slow down a bit, because I was quite, it's my problem.
Be on YouTube.
Ah, okay. And it was, sorry, it was actually just as a comeback there to say, really quickly, there was a lady who had come here, was going to come, but she's not very well, and it's pertinent to this because she asked a meeting before last for some information from the town clerk, and she said she still hasn't had that. I forget what it was. Oh, it was to do with the finance. It said something about the credit card, £1,000 spending on the credit card, but it didn't itemise what it was. And she was asked to leave her details with the clerk, but unfortunately, we went into closed session, and the members of the public were asked to leave, and it ran on quite long. She did leave her email address behind. She doesn't know who it was with, but she's not heard anything. She just left a piece of paper somewhere. So I was just wondering, just so before I forget, I'm so sorry that it's not relevant.
Right, I'm not going to pursue it. I'm going to ask the town clerk to pick up on that. The points have been made. I'm a bit disturbed by a comment made that it was in closed session. You had a communication from a councillor the following day.
Yeah.
I will have to look into it. That could well be a breach of the code of conduct by that councillor. And you may be asked to identify who that is, not at this stage.
That's fine.
Just to put it out there and to let you know.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Just to note that any request for information made of a public authority must be treated as being made under the Freedom of Information Act, even if the Act isn't specifically invoked, and a member of the public is entitled to refer to the Information Commissioner in the same way as if the request had been made directly under the Freedom of Information Act.
Okay, the points have been made, recorded. Okay, Tamara.
We've got finance information with us now. We can either give that to finance information or I can take it.
All the details I asked for, please. The last 15 years, how many plots, what's happened to the plots, and how much taxpayers' money has been wasted on that. Thank you.
No, I mean, when I said the information, I was talking about finance information that was requested by the lady last meeting.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Sorry,
No, that's all. I'm leaving now. I don't want to listen to it anymore.
Just for the record, I just gave them the website address of whatdotheyknow.com. That was all. It wasn't anything nasty.
Right, finance
Okay.
information. So, the lady asked what £5,000 on storage was. I've got the information come to me. So this was for Christmas lights. It included storage cost of £1,083, removal of the Christmas lights after Christmas, which was £1,858, and the switch on event for which they charged £1,300, and that's what paid £4,245. It would have been logged in the accounts as £5,094 to use the year. So that's what that was for.
Sorry, who was that? Who asked that? Was that the same lady?
It was a member of the public, yeah.
Yeah, because I think she was wanting it emailed because she's not here.
Yeah, that's right. But I haven't got her email address, which is why I brought it along today.
Oh, I'll give it to you at the end.
that'll be fine. Right, she was talking about credit card. Now, with the credit card, what we do is we spend money on the credit card and then we pay it off every month in full. So that's what the £1,000. It wasn't one transaction; it was a series of transactions, which I can tell you the bigger parts of it. It's quite a number of different things. There was some signage for the bonfire, £276. Further payment of £134 for signage for the bonfire.
Why aren't they itemised separately? Sorry, it's not a rhetorical question. I'm genuinely interested.
Oh, well, we can supply it. They're not supplied because the payment goes out as one lump sum. It's just, we just authorise them as delegated.
So just think for the public,
Most
if
of them are
on the
done.
credit
I
card
mean,
bill where it's itemised,
yeah.
if that could be put over onto the general account.
Well, we can certainly supply them separately. I mean, we can run them high. These are all just ordinary transactions, bits and pieces that we do every month. But I mean, if us, yeah, we can certainly supply that. I mean, that's definitely okay. Okay, right. Let me make that. I need something that's for the Armoury, preservation equipment, £252.
Pound for me.
No, and locks. We've obviously got some keys cut, LGS stock. It was bits and pieces, but I mean, we can supply credit card bills or scrutiny, so you know what like. That's not right, that's those two. I think that was the only two questions that were asked.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we'll move on then. Apologies for absence.
Yes, we've had apologies from Councillor Smith and Councillor Jones.
Thank you. Declarations peculiar that interest in accordance with the Town Council's Code of Conduct, including request for dispensation, brackets if any, dispensation request must be received in writing by the town clerk prior to the meeting. Does anybody have any declarations? Emma?
Sorry, I can't see what number the item is, but no, I know that. I know that's where we're at. There's an item which I'm assuming, it said something, oh yes, item 12. I'm assuming, I didn't know anything about this, but I'm assuming that that is with regards to myself. Sadly, I've not had time to read all of the paperwork because I just had a very busy weekend. If it is about me, just to say that I won't vote on that matter or contribute to the conversation, but I will remain in the room. Item 14, staffing matter. I have an interest to disclose there, but with your permission, Mr. Mayor, because of the sensitive, confidential nature of it, I will fully inform you of what the nature is at the beginning of that item with your agreement. I feel if I make it now, I will be disclosing private information.
Okay, that is noted. Thank you. Any other declarations? Thank you. We move on. Announcements by me. Now, obviously, since the last meeting, I wasn't able to attend for medical reasons, and I thank Deputy Mayor for chairing that meeting. He and Celia, the consort, and Deputy Mayoress have been covering engagements on my behalf, and I thank them for that. I don't need to go into detail, but my own personal recovery is progressing very well, and I am able to re-engage with one or two final commitments that we have, which obviously the current Mayoress Marion and I will be fulfilling to the best of our ability. On the 1st of April, we had a visit by the High Sheriff of Worcestershire, Ian Smith, at his request, wanted to come and look around parts of Evesham and asked me to provide an itinerary, which I did with the help of Robbie, because at that time I was just not in a fit state to be able to look and do anything very much. It was very successful. We visited 9 organisations, and I specifically put into the itinerary that we visit a local business that has dealings with a lot of overseas people. I chose Primer Fruit. It will be in the journal amongst the article, and he was very, very impressed with the way that the company organises. That you walk into a supermarket like Waitrose, who they provide to, pick up a punnet of grapes, but you haven't got a clue really what goes on in the background and how those grapes get into that punnet and onto the shelf, and they were extremely impressed. So that was a very successful time. And finally, just a further advance warning, emails have gone out to all of you, but there's been very little response. If you are coming to this St George's Day celebration being organised by Robbie Raphael on the 23rd of this month in the Town Hall, 7:30, tickets must be purchased, please, in advance and are available from Keighley at the council office. Please indicate whether you are or not going to be attending, as numbers are critical for organisation. On that point, from visits, etc., during my time of absence, Deputy Mayor, do you have anything you wish to add briefly?
No, not really. No, that's okay. But I'm used to that. So I'm in detail again. But no, it's very interesting having an insight into what we're going to do next year, and it's been very helpful, really. And we try to cover it and represent the town as best we can at short notice. And I'm glad you're recovering better now, and you're getting back to it. So give us a little bit of break before we do any other ceremonies. And we will, I didn't mention it earlier, but we will both be leaving the room when it comes to item 12. Not item 12, item 10. We will be both leaving the room because as deputies it will affect us next year. So we will be leaving the room. But otherwise, yes, everything's gone well. We've met some towns that previously had a very big connection, and John's put the foundations down and we tried to cement it together, and we're looking forward to a good year next year. Thank you.
So you have a question?
Yeah, just
followed by Mayoral.
just to say, the St George's Day celebration thing, does anybody happen to know what date that was sent? Because I can't see that I've received that email. Who were they sent by?
Kerry as well as
Sorry?
Kerry as well as
Yeah.
Yes, could you have a date? I genuinely don't
No,
have
I
any-
don't know. I'm sorry.
Would you mind resending it?
Yeah, it didn't come from me, it came from the office.
Right, okay. Do you happen to know approximately when?
No.
23rd of March.
March?
23rd of March.
April.
Oh, sorry.
No,
No, the email was sent on the 23rd of March.
Sorry.
I'm with you, Mark. I knew
Sorry.
what you meant.
I didn't.
No,
Okay, all right, I'll leave you to sort that, and it will be sent to you, Emma. Marilyn.
Okay, if you remember, John, we hosted a quiz night in Bentworth not that long ago when you were unfortunately hospitalised, and we raised £470 for your charities.
Thank you. Yes, that was thank you. I should have mentioned thank you to those who covered for him on that. Sam.
Cheers. On the St George's Day do, it's very hard to buy tickets. Why isn't there an online payment link? You know, like in the modern 21st century we are. Yeah, but that's, people don't want to do that. If we want to promote or do an event, we need to make it easy for people to come. That's all I'm going to say.
is it open to the public?
Yeah.
Don't for anybody.
We have to start getting into the 21st century, don't we?
I'll see if it's available on the door.
All the merrier.
It does say they're available via email, so I'm assuming that we could request by email and they would be sent to us. Would that be a possibility?
But then how you, what are we going to do? Send a check?
I was going to say, can't you just pay over the phone?
Yeah, you pay over the phone.
I have found it in a danger, in the danger file, not the danger file, you know, the flagged one that you don't normally get one, which is bizarre. Yeah, it's not all spam, it's called something else. So apologies, yes, I do have that in mind.
Okay. Right, that was purely a notification for people, so you have the date, you have the time, you have the contact people for the review. We move on now to agenda item 4, updates from district and county councillors. Sam, I appreciate that I haven't sent you a request, but it's an agenda item and you would be prepared to be prepared. Do you have any updates you can give to council regarding county council?
Yeah. Cheers. So we are finally going to get the bollards. They're going to apply for a 12-week permit. I've said 12 weeks is too long, it's a safety issue, so I've really pushed back on that. Hopefully we'll get it done sooner rather than later. You might have seen on Facebook that I've been going around trying to sort the niggly little bits, missing double yellows, forgotten road signs, blocked drains, dirt everywhere. And people have actually commented to me in person and sent messages. But it's nice to have somebody that cares, and they don't know why it's taken so long, but that's not for me to say. And Emma pointed out an issue to me with sewage on Eastwick Drive. Lots of sewage coming up through the drains. I did raise with highways, but it's not highways owned.
It is.
They told me it isn't.
It is. It is. It is. I know. And I'm not arguing with you. Do you mind if I fill everybody in, because it's quite important?
Well,
take it outside.
I'll see how time goes. I'm not going to do.
I'll be very quick.
I'm not dismissing it. I'm more interested in just hearing from Sam the update from council.
Yeah. So I raised it with highways. They said it's not highways owned. I've asked for evidence of that today because I've been told that it is. So we're at a bit of a block, and that's it.
Okay. Emma, very, very briefly, please, because I need to move on.
So basically, it's a perennial problem. I'm told it's been in existence for 25, 30 years. When you go down Eastwick Drive into a forecourt where there's an auction place, there's what looks like a rain thing. It's pure pee and poo. And I contacted Severn Trent. Severn Trent came out and they looked on their little thing, and they said up to 50 metres past that little junction there, it is still county council. Now, historically, the county council have tried to relinquish. What Severn Trent have said is if the county council go out and clear it, they will then go in with their mole to see what builder or what property has pumped their sewerage into the rain system, which is what has happened. So it's very important that the county council is pressured to do that, and then it will be solved after 25, 30 years.
Okay, thank you for that. Sam, can I ask you to pick up on that and pursue highways as to definitive on that, as to who actually owns that land? Has it been adopted? Has it not?
Yeah, I'm on with that.
Okay,
I think the issue is the road, yes, but the drain is set back from the edge of the road by quite a distance, and I think that's where the dispute is coming. So I do believe highways on this, but I didn't see it for myself.
Okay, the point's been raised. Thank you very much. Are there anything else, Sam, County?
No.
Okay.
Can I ask a general one? There's lots of these issues around the town that I report, I intend to report, but the reporting system, and I've been told over the years, oh, just report to the county council about overgrown hedges or this, that and the other. And I'll be doing it all day, doesn't it? It needs some consistency, and so the county needs to work at a consistent system for reporting.
I don't think you're going to change it now.
Hold on. We don't want to get too far off track. I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm purely asking for an update from County Council that has been given. Any subsequent questions you can, as the County Council representative on this council, if you want to ask any supplementary questions, then obviously go direct to Sam. But let's not use time asking supplementary questions. Let's just deal with the matters in hand. District. Mark has said there's nothing. Emma, anything to say? Did you want to say anything about the Riverside and confirmation?
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant news that the Riverside Centre now has been absorbed into the massive investment into Evesham Town by Homes England and Whitchaven. So that's all going forward. The site itself is still being managed by PJK, so that's sort of stymied certain things happening. However, we do own it now, or whichever, and Homes England own it, and things are moving forward. And there's an event, I think, for 4 o'clock on Thursday. I think it may be here, I'm not quite sure, for people to come in and say what is it they want and ask any questions about the front of the property, the back of the property, the cleaning of the property, the car park, what can we have, what can't we have. They're very general questions, but they've been nagging at us for years. And what we have to remember, this is such a positive move for the town, because at the end of the day, PJK owned the property and had no intention of selling it. There was no reason for him to sell it. You know, it was his pension pot, so inevitably he kept hold of it and didn't have to do anything, and didn't really invest in it. However, now it's being brought into public ownership, we can now make it smart for the town, the area smart for the town, and invest in the town. So thank you to whichever.
John, related,
it's related to this. It's related to this. Firstly, can you confirm that we now actually own the public hall? Can you please get it secured?
I will absolutely answer you, yeah.
The fire door has been open for 12 months. This is why kids are going up there. Me and Sharon went up and took some pictures. It's appalling.
Absolutely, we are aware
the one question I really need answering is when someone takes a lease on, within that lease there is a commitment to maintenance and this aspect. What I can't understand is when we've had to buy this man out of this lease, why didn't we just breach him for contract?
It's never as simple as it looks.
We wouldn't have had to pay him for that. It's absolutely clear that this man breached his contract in maintenance. Now, that is a get-out clause for the council to have taken the property back without us costing us money. What I can't understand, I've asked for a freedom of information request, and I still haven't got any answers.
Just to
which building are you talking about? This one?
Public hall. Over there.
We're on a matter of reports from county and district councils. The report has been that the Riverside has been taken over. The ins and outs about things happened or didn't happen in the past are not relevant to this.
They are very relevant.
Right,
they are very relevant.
After.
It's not. The point is, this is all being swept under the table because Wychavon have done a cracking little deal, because PJ Lake have got out of the maintenance. Now, they haven't got to pay the maintenance because it's been a sweetener for Wychavon. But guess who's going to pick the bill up? Taxpayers. Right? And it's not fair. Right? At the end of the day, that man absolutely ran the public hall into the ground. He ran the town hall into the ground. These people here have sweated buckets to try and, repair these back buildings. And I've collated all this information. Every council meeting was neglected. Now, we gave this bloke the lease for 9 years and he did bugger all with it. Sorry. He did nothing with it. And now the taxpayer is going to have to pick up the bill to repair these buildings.
Well, I appreciate you're passionate about it, but this is not...
It is the place, John.
This is not the place at this moment in time for that element. There will be other times to raise it. Julie, followed by Emma, followed by Robert.
I just wanted to add to what Emma has said about the Riverside Centre, because on Wednesday cleaning will commence,
yes, it will.
and I think that's important to note as well.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to be following up with, I think Mark was saying about how they're taking it over and that cleaning was going to be coming, and obviously it's absolutely disgusting. That's what I was going to ask about. It's been sorted and addressed.
Okay, thank you. Robert.
Yes, to answer John's question on why we haven't been able to pursue as we would have liked, you have to read the leases. There's two.
I've requested them. I've requested and asked, and John came to me and said, can I just hold off while the deal goes through? Right. Still waiting for them.
John, the point is being raised.
Yeah, but he's telling me to read something that I've requested, John, that I can't obviously read, can I? Because they haven't sent it me.
Please don't interrupt. Please just let the question be answered. Right. and don't think I'm picking on you at all.
No.
Just like you to just keep calm. Let's have a debate, a discussion about it as adults. Robert, carry on.
It took me about 3 days to read the two leases, the head lease and the sublease back to us, and the structure is very different. The head lease gives us a lot more power, and that's why we've actioned what we have done because of the head lease.
Who's we, sorry?
Pardon?
Who was we?
The town council.
Did we?
When we were talking about this.
Robert, you're talking
I'm
about
really
town
hall.
One person, please.
Really confused, sorry.
Robert's talking about the town hall.
The town hall. There are two leases on the town hall.
We're
talking about the public hall.
We're talking about the public hall.
I think it's all connected. Public hall, town hall. They're all leased by the same man.
Right, okay, I'm going to intervene now. We've had the update from Emma that the Riverside complex and all developments previously owned by PJK have now been taken over by Whithaven, and they will be going into detail now as to developments, planning, etc. All right, so we've had the update. I'm now going to close on that. Emma, any further district council matters?
No, that's
Okay, thank you. Item 5, draft report, please.
Right, so, very short this one.
Good.
We've agreed a couple of parts of work in the Waterside Cemetery. One of them is to rebuild the wall that's by the car park. It's bowing, pier is rotating, we think it's going to fall down. So we've engaged DA Cook to rebuild the wall. They're going to lower it so that it's quite a high wall at the moment, and that's been constructed, and that should happen pretty soon. We have barrier off the side of the car park just so nobody doesn't fall underneath it falls. The other piece of work which has been instructed as well is we're going to shore up the wall alongside Baptist Brook. The wall's unstable. It's going to cost tens of thousands of pounds for rights, so with all of our cost areas, P&E didn't feel that they could instruct on that, so what we're doing instead is we're going to make it safe. And then can wait until such time as we're in a position to do something about it more permanently. It will be lowered slightly, and the bit which has fallen down will also be tidied up and made safe, but it's a making safe option, not a repair at this stage. The other thing that you all know, Civic Services on Sunday, we're going to be sending out some more details on that tomorrow, with instruction where to stand and what arrangements are rolling and all the stuff. I also attended a meeting with stakeholders involved in Christmas preparations. This is various people involved in Christmas events. There was a desire to coordinate everything that was going on, including things that the festival were doing, things that
Can't hear you, sorry.
things that the Rotary are doing, things that Whithaven are doing, things that we're doing for Christmas. So what they've decided is that there will be a Christmas weekend of events, which will include the switch on of the tree at Bridge Street, the switch on of our Christmas lights, the events in Market Square, and that will be the last weekend in November. That's the end of my report, unless anyone's got any questions.
Yeah, a couple of quick questions. The first one is about the microphone situation. I'm not hard of hearing, but because my neurodivergence and there's noise below me, I find it quite difficult. And I know that there's other people here. What's happening about that? And I'm also aware that we'll be having the public meeting out there. Yeah. I know that you have a walkie around one. I don't need for that, but is there anything happening? Because it's
we're getting quotes for upgrading the system, but we haven't got very many. We're struggling to get contractors to engage with us, and then we're comparing apples and pears at the moment. But it will come to a meeting when we've got enough useful information to present.
I've got one other question for the clerk, if that's okay. This is actually something which I've been asked to address the clerk by lots of members of the community. Approximately 12 months ago, we were having discussions and the lovely new benches were put in all around the town, really lovely. and I asked the clerk during the annual meeting about why the ones in the Market Square haven't been done, and she explained that they've been renovated. Now, I want to be very, very clear what I'm saying here. John did a wonderful job with what he did, but we can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. They were rotten, those benches, in the first place. I don't want to use the proverbial glitter on whatever, polisher, whatever. Outside there now, I'm sure some of the councillors might have seen them on the way in. It is a holy embarrassment to this town, the state of those benches. I appreciate that they are underneath a tree with bird poo coming down. Either the tree's got to come down or the benches need to be moved, or at least you need to have replaced. They've got to go and be replaced. They are dangerous, they are rotten, and they are disgusting. Two opposite there, obviously they don't get the bird poo. They're not too bad. I don't think they were quite as bad, and they still actually look quite reasonable, and I think the ones further up the High Street. I was just wondering if you can put on the agenda for next meeting for us to have a discussion about replacement of those benches, or what we're going to do with them.
Do you want it on the town council, or do you want it to go to planning and state in the first instance?
Full town council, reason being is that we'll be looking at expenditure, I'm assuming, if all are replaced, in excess of £10,000. So it would have to come back to full town council in any case, because they're over £1,000 each, aren't they, I believe? Yeah.
My understanding is that there are already matters in place to put canopies above those benches underneath, or so that the benches are protected from the trees.
Will that be new benches?
Peter, would you like to answer that?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this was brought up a few meetings back, and as with everything, it's getting quotes. It's getting 3 quotes.
For what?
We had
What
quotes
you get
for
quotes?
Canopy.
Okay, what happens? Does the poo go on top of the canopy then?
Yes.
And then
The plan is it
and then somebody has to clean the top of the canopy, whereas they can't manage to clean the seats, and I would have thought that was a lot easier than cleaning the top of the canopy. Just my opinion.
You need two pieces of material. So when one comes down to be cleaned, you put the other one up, and it rotates. That's what needs to happen.
Oh, okay. But is it going to be new benches? That's what we need to discuss, because they are, I'm sure, I mean, maybe John has an opinion on it, but I think it's probably better for...
I can update you a bit on what is proposed for that area. I was in discussion with the clerk now for about 18 months, Joe. We've been trying to get somebody to actually fit these roofs. The idea was to take out the benches that were in appalling condition and try to replace them with the benches that have been replaced with the metal ones. Well, with obviously, because some of them benches that were took out were in good condition. The idea is to reduce the benches from 5 to 4. Each bench will have an individual roof, and hopefully the benches will then be preserved away from the weather, because what's rotting the bench is the pigeon poo. And it rots it very quickly. I mean, if you think I took at least 3 or 4 millimetres of rot off those benches, and it's still rotting really quickly, because once the acid gets into the bench, you haven't got a hope, to be honest. You know what I mean? Otherwise you've got to strip the wood as deep as you can, and the benches weren't worth doing that. And the contract was £2,500 to do all the benches. And so in the end, they were rubbed down and varnished. And, you know, sadly, they really needed replacing at that time.
Well, let's get it on the agenda.
Can we have it on the agenda?
Yeah.
So in case we decided, even though they're doing this, they should match the other ones, or they've got to be replaced with something.
At some point.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Thank you. The next agenda.
Just something to say. Whilst the microphones aren't working, could we ask the Valkyrie to turn the music down a bit while we're meeting? Because we're all fighting to be heard above the music from downstairs. This
really
is our
hard
hall.
this end.
Okay.
Heard you.
Okay. One noted.
I actually had two questions. The first which was about the progress of the canopy as previously discussed, but thank you Peter and John for your updates. And the second one was, why is the Town Council concerned with the wall on the Batterson's Brook? Is that part of the Waterside Cemetery?
It is, yes.
So does the Waterside Cemetery extend to the middle of the brook? Both sides of the brook? Or where does the cemetery end?
At the wall.
At the wall, so the Waterside Cemetery ends at the wall on Batterson.
Yes.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Okay, moving on then. Item 6, reports from outside bodies. There are councillors who obviously represent on different. Sorry.
I have one report.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Just a very brief update from Wallace House. Wallace House and U-Turn have been in the process of separating out into two separate charities. Reason for that, it will make it much easier going forward with grant applications and everything now they're no longer residing in the same building. Because previously everything for U-Turn had to go through Wallace House because it was all part of the same organisation. Separating it into two charities will mean that both groups can now focus on fundraising for their own premises and their own work. They will continue to work together on a lot of projects, but having separate organisation structures will simplify things from a financial perspective going forward. So that's just the latest update from Wallace House to U-Turn.
Thank you. Anybody else that represents the council on an outside body? John?
Yeah, just to, we got another working council team coming up next weekend. Any council is obviously welcome. You know what I mean? Even if you just want to pop along and have a cup of tea and all that. As I've said before, it's a great opportunity to talk to the public. You know what I mean? For those who want to.
Thank you. Any further comments? Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 7, minutes of the previous meeting. Obviously, I wasn't at the previous meeting, but you've had copies of the minutes. Are there any comments?
So sorry, because this should have gone to the class in the previous section. I couldn't hear the gentleman because he was speaking too fast probably with the noise. Was he saying that we're now not proceeding with the Common Road land, or was he talking about the other land which we were no longer proceeding with? What is the situation now? Have they been... Am I allowed to say it? I don't know. Well, it's only what the other gentleman said. I don't want to do anything wrong. But the contentious issue that we voted upon, has that happened?
Mr. Mayor, would you like me to?
Yes.
It was looked into, and the problem was that the biodiversity requirements were a minimum of 275,000 up to 380,000. So while the land could be afforded, the biodiversity couldn't. So we decided that's up
Which
by...
land is that?
We should say
Green Hill.
I'm not talking about...
Can we have one person speak at a time, please?
Right, is it okay for me to say?
Yeah, please carry on.
Okay,
Right,
it's the land, if you go down Squires Lane...
No, I wasn't asking about Squires. I'm asking about Common Road. Common Road, yeah.
What about Common Road? We're not doing anything with Common Road allotments, it's Rhino Place allotments.
Well, the access is from Common Road, sorry.
No,
Rhino Place then.
And the access is from St Mary's
St Mary's Road.
The access is from St Mary's Road.
Oh, okay. Apologies.
As it says, they have been served with statutory notice. They have a 1 year.
So they have been served?
Yeah. Yeah, it says last page of the minutes. The last page of the minutes, the top paragraph, paragraph 3, or section 3.
I think it just says it's going, that's what it was resolved to do. I wasn't sure.
Yes.
It didn't say when it was going to happen, so just asking if it happened.
It was done at the meeting that the gentleman was talking about.
Right, I judged he spoke so fast.
Which aspect do you mean? Which of the resolutions are you asking as to it's happened?
So basically, I wanted really to have an update on what's happened about whatever we're calling them, Rhino St Mary's Road, whatever. I know you were talking about the biodiversity there and that it would cost less for there. I was just wondering if that had been done yet. My concern was that the land, the previous land that we were looking at, was just orchard and, if you like, heathland or, you know, natural progression, whereas the allotment land, every allotment holder will be growing something different, and so the potential for biodiversity is actually, potential is greater. I'm not saying that it is, I'm not saying it is, but there is the potential. I was just wondering if you've got any updated figures, and
well,
if
for
there
the
has been...
biodiversity, we haven't. Going through the resolutions, it was resolved to inform the landowner that the identified land that the council was able to proceed. We've done that. I've done point 3, we've served statutory notice on minor place allotments. We are continuing our short-term search for alternative land, that's point 4. We haven't moved forward as yet, gathering preliminary information, and the rest are, so we're working our way through the list.
So point 6 and 7.
Yeah, point 6 is when we've got some information, we'll come back to council.
Okay. Just so I can report back.
Yeah,
thank you.
Just in terms of biodiversity, because the vast majority of the land has been cultivated previously on and off for quite a while, biodiversity will be minimal, negligible, practically non-existent. Unlike squares, we have a variety of different orchids.
What's the survey cost for them to come and tell you what it is?
I don't know.
Do you know what the survey cost is, Joe?
I don't know, it's hundreds of pounds, but at the moment...
Hundreds, it's not thousands.
It's not thousands. Well, that is to say, it depends, you know, surveys quite often could get surveys. But the reason we haven't is we're still progressing conversations with regards to alternative land. And we would rather do that first, and then we'll instruct surveys on that land.
Not have another repeat, yeah.
Because otherwise we're just spending money on it. So.
Okay, that makes sense, thank you.
Just a quick one, Joe. Can you inform me whether when you're moving the allotment holders up to this other piece of land, has that person been informed yet? Where you're moving the allotment holders to?
Where we're moving them to, no.
Yeah, right. Do you know when that'll happen?
I don't, I'm afraid.
You don't?
It's going to be part of the process. It's going to be a logical part of the process.
Okay, if there's no other questions, could I have a proposer? Peter, second. Thank you very much. Those in favour? Is anybody against? Any abstentions? Okay, moving on. Agenda item 8, committee meetings. Planning and Estate Committee meeting of the 16th of March 2026. Peter.
Thanks, Chair. I'm happy to commend this to Council as a true and accurate, but I don't think the date's right.
Seconded by...
I don't have the 16th of March ones with me. I have looked at. Sorry, my apologies. I turned 2 lots over. Yes. I'm happy to commend 16th of March as a true and accurate.
I'll second it.
Oh, sorry, you've been to that one. Those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? Okay, Planning and Estate Committee meeting of the 7th of April. Okay, Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm again happy to commend this to Council as a true and accurate. I would like to make one point, if that's okay. Item 6, which is Amberville Properties, the PIP at the end of Common Road. I do my due diligence normally 2 or 3 days before the meeting. When I looked on the planning portal, There were no objection letters. Rob, who I checked with, looked on it that morning.
No, it was the day before, 2 days before.
2 days before, there was one. I looked on it again, and there's something like 20. Just to clarify, I'm not certain what happened.
With the same piece of land, as they said, it hadn't been put in for anything. The following morning, after the planning meeting, so the planning meeting was a Tuesday night, the Wednesday morning, all the residents down Robin's Nest had a letter about putting an application in for 5 to 9 houses for the meeting.
Okay.
And I went down there, and it's not suitable. I mean, it's foggy anyway, and the access.
Can I just say something about
that was before you, sir, and then you follow that.
I'm sorry if it's not appropriate to comment on this as it's just to approve those, but I'm under the impression, and my memory may not serve me well, that a very similar application was actually declined 9 or 10 years ago. It was a highways objection, an access objection, and I don't understand what, if anything, it's got worse since then rather than better access down there. Is that something which was raised?
Again, I just wanted to point out the issue with the planning board in that depending on when you check it and depending on when people log things, you can get 2 different reviews of the same thing.
Okay.
It's a planning in principle. It means basically nothing. Nothing has been decided until they start going further down the line.
So has Whitchaven approved that?
No.
It's not got to that yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just for clarification, if it's a planning, if it's a PIP, it's purely to look at whether or not the land is an appropriate place to for an application to be considered. I think I'm right in that.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
After the building has been passed.
So,
I just wanted to note that most people in Common Road and Robin's Corner didn't know about the application.
one person, please. So could you repeat that?
Didn't know about the application, and in fact there was an objection made about 10 years ago when the previous planning application was made about the limited range of properties that were informed of the application, and they've taken absolutely no notice at all, and only, I mean, to be quite clear, we live 3 houses along the road, Common Road, and we weren't informed about this. This is a development only about 20 yards away from where we live. And I know that's not the Town Council's responsibility, that's the Chairman's responsibility. And also there's been no notices attached to lampposts at all regarding this application. Because I've seen them, because I'm up and down that road every day.
Any comment?
Again, my intention was not to open this to talk about this particular one. It was merely to point out that the planning portal really needs to be looked at so that if stuff goes on, it can be date stamped. Otherwise, various allegations can come back.
So really, that is not a council matter, that is an IT matter,
yes,
so to speak.
Yes.
What we are discussing here, or asked for, is the proposal at seconding and decision of the accuracy of the minutes of the meeting.
That's true.
And I appreciate that these questions have been asked. So you have proposed it?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Sure.
Thank you, Anne. Those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions?
I just don't see how it can be a valid decision of the planning committee when local residents haven't been informed. Because there will now be a flurry of objections coming in, because Julie and I have made sure that local residents do know about it. And it seems that people are being informed after the decision's been made.
When the agenda goes out and when the applications are being considered, there is an application reference number, and as the details go out, and they are in the public domain. The public can log on to those and they can find out what the relevant application is about.
So the public should log on to the website every week just to find out if there's any applications which affect them. The public needs to be informed, not made put in a position where they can find out for themselves.
Chairman, this is a whichever matter. It's nothing
Yes,
to do with
yeah.
what we're
It's
talking about here. As you
Yeah.
just said,
Yeah.
the accuracy of the minutes is what we are discussing.
Yes.
My apologies
we've
for
had a proposal,
No,
we've had a
no.
second, we've had a vote, so I'm now moving on to agenda item 9 and handing over to Ashley, hiding in the corner, diligently waiting for her time.
Good evening, Mr Mayor, good evening councillors, thank you for giving me the time this evening. You should have all been circulated a report regarding the appointment of a clerk of works for the Armoury restoration project, specifically regarding the roofing. As I'm sure you're all aware, the roof at the Armoury is the major cause for concern, and as part of the process and as part of making sure that the work's done properly, accurately and with the skills and knowledge needed, we are requesting that you authorise us to appoint Richard Jordan as the clerk of works for the roofing part of the project only. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody's got any.
Followed by
Just briefly, Ashley, all we know at the moment about Mr Jordan is his name. Could you say briefly what sort of kind of projects he's worked on previously, please?
So Richard's background is solely in heritage building, heritage roofing in particular. He's a bit of a stone expert, and he will quite happily talk to you about stone for hours. But he was actually, when we first carried out our enabling project, well, in 2024, Richard was recommended to us by Historic England. They use him as their heritage expert. Richard has worked on projects all over the country with different types of stone, different types of work. He is a passionate advocate for traditional building skills. He also teaches at Westdean College down in Sussex, which is a sort of a centre for heritage building excellence. He's a SPAB fellow, and he also works a lot with SPAB on teaching their fellows and scholars on their annual programmes as well. So he's very well known within the sector, he's very highly respected, he's incredibly knowledgeable, and he's probably one of 2 people in the country really who know their craft as well as they do.
Thank you very much. You sound
Yeah, 2 very brief questions. Again, it's not a rhetorical question. I know I swung with my tone, and it's not a criticism, I'm just generally asking the question. Why do we need a clerk of works? Why, obviously I'm looking at papers, so I'm not going to talk about the figures or anything. Why was this not, or what would it, that sounds rude, and I don't think it sounds rude. Why is this not part of the original cost of doing the Armoury? If you need somebody specialist to do something, was it an oversight? That's the first part of the question. Second part of the question, it says the budget available, so I won't say what it is. Where is that, what is left over from the Armoury budget, or is that additional council funds that we would have to dip into in order to service this?
Yeah, right, so to take the first point, Richard was available he did quote some of the main contractors who tendered the main package. He wasn't part of the Cook's tender package, so he's not part of the project because he wasn't involved with DA Cooks. There is money in the project to already pay for a clerk of works. It has already, there is an allocation there. So we're not asking the town council to put any more money into the project at all. One of the reasons we'd like Richard on board is Richard wrote the specification that went out into the tender package for the main contractors. He knows the roof inside out, literally. He knows it, he understands it. He wrote the specifications. And for us as the clients, it's a fail-safe for us as well, because we know Richard will be working for us to make sure that the work we get done on the roof is as best as it can be, the very best of the best, and will give us a roof that should last another.
Thank you. I think that will be really big extreme. I think it'll be really reassuring for the public to know how thing. Just a quick comment. Stan just said to me it was in the notes. Apologies for that. Getting stuff on Friday is just too late for me. I just, like I said last meeting, I just didn't have time to read everything. I know it's not.
No. This is why I'm here.
Apologise.
I'm happy to answer any questions. I know it's a very new thing for me. Obviously, I'm not a building expert, but I've learned an awful lot, and I'm happy to answer questions, or I can find out information if any of you've got any further questions and need any clarification.
I'm quite happy to quite happy to propose that, but with other people.
Has the opportunity been made available to anybody else? Because there's a question of cost, and obviously I can't quote the figures on here, but it's daily rate, but like most people's weekly rate.
I would have thought so for a specialist when there's only 2 of them in the country. I would have thought that, I mean, that's an hourly rate for a solicitor. So I don't think, personally, I don't think that seems extraordinary for a specialist in the field.
I just wanted to know if anyone else has had the opportunity to put in an offer.
We haven't gone to an open tendering process for this precisely because it is such a specialist stream of work. As I'm sure you're aware, the nature of the work on the Armoury is incredibly specialist, and we have had to be very tight on who we have invited to tender, and who we are appointing, because we want to make sure. I mean, this is a once in a lifetime chance for this building, and we need it to be the best of the best, because let's be honest, there's no way. Well, I'm not going to be around to get another £2.5 million in to sort the building out. So I'm sure nobody else wants that job either. So we need to make the very, very best of this right now, so that we've got a building we can be proud of, and a building that is going to stay standing and be a real highlight of the heritage and history of this town.
Yes, I got to know Richard quite well. He's absolutely passionate about the Armoury. He's put in an enormous amount of effort into it, free, and of course he's very much been the instigator behind the whole concept of Friends of the Armoury. So there's much more to decide than just clerk of works. So there's no one else you could repeat in the problem.
Thank you. Andrew?
Propose approval, Mr. Mayor.
Emma's actually already proposed it.
Well, I think she was...
I will
second it. I will second it.
She made a comment and then said,
I'll wait for other people.
Then there was another discussion, and the discussion continued. So the proposal
I'll
was
second.
Second, okay. Are there any further comments before we have a vote? Okay, proposed by Emma, seconded by Andrew. Those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? Thank you, Ashley. We move on now to finance payments. Payments and receipts for February 2026, taken as an individual item, and those are the only finances that we are discussing. Sarah. Any questions? Robert?
I see there's an item for Civil War sword. As I'm an expert swordsman, can I use it to make my points at the town council meetings?
Why do I never think of bringing mine? I think Gary wants it in a wheelchair.
What's the sword out of interest? I've always tried to do
It's
it.
an actual sort. It's an actual sort that the Armoury report.
Report, yeah.
Other than that.
I'd be very interested in it, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the payments and receipts for February 2026? If not, then the proposal for acceptance. Peter's hand went up first. Emma's was up second, and so it's second. Those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? Thank you, that's unanimous. We come on now to P, inflationary increase in mayor's allowance. As said at the beginning, Bill and Cedar have voluntarily decided to leave the room, as this will directly have implications to them when they take up their new roles.
May I just say something before they go? Just to them, basically. Personally, I wouldn't have had any objection in them staying in here and contributing to the discussion, although not voting. The reason for that is that this may affect Bill this year coming, but what goes on forward, if there's a precedent set, will be somebody else. So if it's Peter, so it may be something that they have opinions on. That was all, sorry.
I appreciate the comment. They have decided themselves that they wish to leave the room, and I'm going to respect that point.
If you'd like me to leave as well, I'm happy to.
No.
I don't mind.
Otherwise,
I could do it.
everyone leaves the room, and I'll be left here on my own. But that would bang the gavel and call the meeting to a close.
I will refrain from voting.
Yeah, that's appropriate.
That's appropriate, I think, because it's a pecuniary interest, isn't it, potential?
Is it including a deputy mayor as well?
No,
No, it doesn't get an allowance.
So, Joe, over to you, please, to outline this.
Well, you've all seen the reports.
I know
I will just happily read it to you. The mayor's allowance is provided to the mayor to cover expenses related to their official role. It can cover costs such as travel, attending events and public engagement. The mayor's allowance is currently £5,300 a year. It has not increased for some years and costs have risen. It is proposed to increase the mayor's allowance by inflation, linking it to the CPI annually, as is done with many other council costs and fees.
Yeah.
This practice can be reviewed every 5 years or as often as the council sees fit.
Okay, sorry, I was writing. So I didn't see whose hands went up first. So I'm going to take it. Ella, Robert, Emma, Sam.
I think that was the amount when I was mayor, and that's, as you see on the board, 20 odd years ago.
Sorry, what was the amount? I couldn't hear you, Joe.
5,300.
£5,300.
So it's well overdue for being increased. I think the inflationary figure each year is very appropriate now, and I would think that should be revised every 5 years, as the town clerk has said. So I'm happy to propose that the increase goes in line with what Joe's read out.
Okay, we'll hear other people's. I take your proposal, we'll hear others. Emma?
Again, I'm happy for it to be increased inflationary, but can we just establish that it isn't paid to the mayor, it's actually for expenses incurred and reimbursed to the mayor? Or is it an allowance paid?
No, they get it anyway.
So it's paid to him and PAYE, is it?
Yes.
If appropriate, yeah.
It is through PAYE. Okay,
Yeah.
I still have no problem with the remuneration.
Okay, thank you. Robert?
Is it the CPI and RPI? I can never remember which is the lower.
CPI.
CPI is the lower.
Sorry, can you...
CPI is the one more accurate.
Right. And this is what we're going. This is what we're going for, is it?
No, we're
Well,
good.
that's what I'm recommending.
Can we have that in English, please?
Consumer price index.
Price.
Oh, sorry, I've got 5 different words.
CPI's Consumer Price Index is considered the more reliable number for the assessment of household costs rising
Thank
or
you.
decreasing.
With you.
It's a triple lock, isn't it?
Retail price index.
You've got that in the triple lock.
Does it mean
It's
anything?
either this one or that one.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, a couple of things. I completely understand that there are costs associated with being the mayor and having your, you know, the ladies getting their hair done or new outfit or your beard done or, you know, and buy raffle tickets, travelling or all those sorts of things. I completely understand that. As is all often the case, when members of the public read the agenda, there were comments made, and the general consensus of opinion I feel must be shared because I have some sympathy with it. Having done a little bit of research, I can't remember which way round it was, but I looked at Tewkesbury and Pershore, and they are 700 a year for the mayor, and I think, I'm so sorry, it was either 1,200 or 2,000, but substantially less. So, also, it is the fact that from the research I've done, it can alter from one mayor to another, and that may be if the mayor is still working. So perhaps when Mark was mayor, he has less availability. So somebody like John may have attended with Marion more events. I don't know. I'm just surmising. So for that reason, the costs incurred could vary substantially depending upon who is the mayor or mayoress at the time. I just feel that at times now of sort of austerity when people aren't getting in line with whatever the CPI, that we need to be very careful that a stipend, it is a stipend, isn't it? 5,000, £100 a week, £400 a month, approximately. I would feel happier about a system where a mayor is reimbursed for expenses that they have. So John, for example, may have actually had £7,000 expenses, whereas Robbie or Mark may have only had £2,000 expenses because of their availability. So whether or not there was some sort of system where that could happen, I'm just very loath for the public's reaction, especially when places like Pershore and Tewkesbury, even Stratford-upon-Avon, their stipend is about the same as ours, and yet the town council is much bigger. That's all I wanted to say.
Any further questions? Sam, followed by people.
Thank you. Yeah, as times are at the moment, where people are struggling, I'm aware that it could come across as a bit of a jobs for the boys kind of thing. I don't begrudge anybody making any money, but I do think it would look a bit sort of, it wouldn't put us in the best light if we were to agree a pay rise as people would see it for the town mayor. And this is a rhetorical question. This is a rhetorical question, but obviously we do raise money for the mayor's charities, and I wonder how much of their allowance would actually go to supporting the charities that they nominate for the year.
Thanks, Matt. Small comment. If, from what I've gathered from sitting in and talking to various people before I said yes to the deputy mayor, if everything that happens was expensed, the figure would be considerably more than £5,300.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to go that way. Just saying, but.
Mr. Mayor, the Deputy Mayor-elect has put precisely the words that I was going to say. If you actually costed out how much you spent being mayor, I know I spent a damn sight more than £5,300 doing that job. I think I spent that in raffle tickets and petrol, to be quite blunt about it. I understand why Emma wants this itemised and an expense claim sort of form, and some mayors actually do that, some councils actually do that. I would personally be against that, and I'd be against that because, one, it puts more work on the mayor, it puts more work on the office, and it also makes you feel a bit of a heel. I mean, would you put down your £5 you put in the charity box at the church service? Would you put down the sort of 10 quid you spent on raffle tickets? Probably not. So I think the mayor, whoever the mayor is, would lose out financially.
Fair comment.
So I have no problem with an allowance of £5,300 being index linked or whatever the proposal is, and I'm happy to second that.
Tim, I'm sorry, I missed you in your...
Yeah, so somebody said a minute ago this is paid by PAYE. Is it taxable for the mayor?
Yes.
So the actual amount the mayor receives will be probably considerably less.
20% less.
And could vary according to the mayor's personal income.
Yes. Yes.
You propose it.
Sorry, Tom. I did have my hand up earlier, but I think Robbie said it, so I won't say it.
Okay. Dan.
Just for clarification, just Googling Chingsbury Mayor's allowance. Mayor allowance is 2,300, but all councillors, including the mayor, also receive a basic allowance of 7,850.
Thank you very much.
Oh, but that's a borough council. That's we propose that.
We propose that we have a wage ourselves.
We can do. Yeah.
This is a discussion for what this town council is going to do. I appreciate comparisons are being made with others and the what, when, how, but this is purely a discussion about what you wish to do regarding the mayor of Evesham Town Council. Tim.
So would it not be a lot more efficient if the mayor just claim his expenses as and when, because it wouldn't be taxable then? Are we not throwing a lot of money up to Rachel for no reason?
If you did that, as Robbie has already identified, if you did that, there is a budget within the council budget itself, and probably within 6 months you'd exceed that. You'd go beyond that, because people that I know who preceded me, and even myself, you end up dipping into your own pocket.
But the mayor's going to end up quite possibly paying a quarter or so of this amount back in tax. Is there not a more efficient way we can do this so we're not spending taxpayers' money on paying tax?
With respect to, I think what he is saying is that how it's documented makes a difference, and I'm willing to be corrected if I stand here, that if you receive it as a stipend or a salary, it's automatically subject to PAYE and tax. However, if you claim back expenses, then that is not subject to tax. So effectively, if you do pay tax, you will lose 20% or more than that, depending on what your personal income is, whereas you would effectively get it all up to the limit or more. I think that's what Tim was trying to say.
I totally understand what you're saying. I come back to the point I made that the amount that's in the budget currently, if you like, paid for the mayor's allowance, that would be chewed up within 6-7 months with the current costings and one thing or another in attendance and travel. When you come to things like raffle tickets, when I've been to a function, I pay for those. But I don't believe raffle tickets that I stand a chance of winning a prize. I would not expect the council to be paying for those raffle tickets. Unless you want me to walk in here with a bottle of wine and 24 glasses and we all sit at the end of the meeting and have a share. Sorry, that sounds a bit flippant. Marion, you were next.
Yes, well obviously I've been in a very fortunate position of being mayoress for 2 years. And going around and meeting mayors and mayoresses have been for the last 2 years, you see a huge variety of benefit of comparison to financial subjects. And I have to say, quite a number of mayors arrive at functions and they have a chauffeur-driven car.
Oh,
yes, you'd be quite surprised. Yes, chauffeur-driven.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and have reserved parking spaces for them and this, that, and the other.
But do they look good, or are they just like a bad lady?
No, they all. Everybody has their own style, so shall we say? So
you always look lovely, Marion.
So it's just very, very interesting. You know how different parts of the country interpret how they support their civic personnel. So I'll leave you with that thought.
Okay, I'll just make a point now. We're starting to get off track here. What we're actually discussing here is whether or not this council agrees to an increase in the mayor's allowance in accordance, or so in the line that has been identified. We had a proposal, we had a second, we have a lot of business to do, so unless it's urgent, I don't really want to pursue this much longer. Mark, you had your hand up.
Well, I'm all right, mate.
Yeah, and one very brief thing. Gambling expenses, which includes buying raffle tickets, are not allowed to be claimed on expenses.
I'm relieved to hear it.
Yeah, for a whole number of very valid reasons. But what that means is that if a mayor was claiming everything back on expenses and they went to a civic function, they could claim the cost of the ticket, but they couldn't claim what they put on the raffle in expenses. So they would inevitably, at the end of the evening, be out of pocket, even if they claimed everything else. Whereas if you're paying it as an allowance, then that allowance, because it is legally a salary, it's their money to do what they want with, and if they want to splash it on 1,000 raffle tickets, they can.
Not me. Two, I'm going to make this the final
I'd like
one,
to
and then we're going to go to the
defer
vote.
this matter and try and establish a means of paying the mayor an allowance without sending a quarter of it back up to Westminster.
I don't think that could be done legally, quite honestly.
Well, we've just discussed the means by which it could be, by claiming expenses directly rather than being paid a salary.
It depends. I think
If he's on higher rate tax, he's not going to get very much, is he?
your point is very valid and has been noted. That, I believe, will be a matter for a future
Well, that's what I'm saying.
about
We should defer this in
generalising.
order to.
What we are discussing now is whether or not this council wants to see an increase, because there has not been one for a long time.
We defer this until we look at the
There is a
methodologies.
proposal to accept that it's been seconded. We'll take a vote on that and see what the outcome is before we can take any further proposals. So, those in favour? Those against? Any abstentions? Okay, that is accepted, and we'll leave the to the town council. Would somebody like to invite Phil and Cedar to rejoin us, please?
Gone for a ball race.
Oh, Josh, I would just like to take the opportunity to thank both mayors for looking after me very well. I've been very spoiled. Thank you very much.
I'd also like to say and thank John for his guidance and being a cracking mayor all this year.
I was finished yet. One was the line before the Peter wants to join them in auto now.
No, I think he's got to find them.
Yeah, they're probably in auto now.
So how
Sweet.
Well, it was interesting. The local bus service around Exeter. Oh yes, I was really quite surprised. I went down for a meal last evening, and the bus from Exeter to Carlisle service was still running about.
This flag request, can you do it separately?
A little place called Escombe.
As a vote?
An Anglo-Saxon church just outside Bishop Auckland. They're on 3 bus routes, and some of them run on Sundays.
Go for a lager.
Also,
Shall we take a 10-minute break?
weren't intended for it because they've done a runner.
Keep sending people out to face them.
I thought you'd dance, wouldn't you?
He's considering
Oh yes, 1 kilowatt per person. Only a kilowatt? Yes, well, surely some people generate more than 1 kilowatt. What's the actual output?
Okay, we can move on. Now the deputy mayor is staggered back to his chair. We can move on to item number 11, flag request. There are 2 requests here, and they're going to be taken as individual items. So the first is the flag of the USA. One applicant is from the United States of America community living in Evesham. The applicant requests to fly the United States of America, the flag of the United States of America over the weekend of the 4th of July to celebrate American Independence Day. I'll take them all I've seen hands. John, followed by Mark.
Marion and Emma.
Sorry, Marion and Emma.
I move that we don't let him put it up, to be honest. Simply, at the moment, he's a warmonger, America. The way they've actually treated the UK and the way they spoke about us, I don't think we should be celebrating the 4th of July. You know what I mean? That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
Yeah, I have no problem at all with raising flags like this. This is precisely one of the things that's allowed for in our flagpole protocol when people request a flag, and we've done this in the past. I think we've done the Polish flag in the past, I believe, as well, and we've actually advised people when they want a flag being raised to approach the council and ask for it to be raised. The question of whether to agree to these 2, to be honest, I entirely sympathise with John's position. I think that to raise the flag of the USA could, at this moment in time, be seen to be giving support for a regime and a president which is frankly abhorrent. And I think there is absolutely no other way to describe the actions of the current occupant of the White House, and I hope that is unanimously supported in this room. However, not every American is a supporter of the current administration, and I believe it would be unfair to tar them all with the same brush. As a country, the USA is and remains one of our long-standing allies and will remain so even after this current maladministration has passed. I also feel it would be unreasonable to agree to one national flag request but not to agree to another. Therefore, I will be voting in favour of both of these.
Thank you. Marion?
My point is that regardless of how we vote with these flags to go up, the American flag and then the Polish flag, but I would also like to see the Union flag to be flown at the same time.
Yeah.
You only have one flagpole.
Yes, but I have seen 2 flags go up at once on one flagpole.
Should not be done.
It's not something that we allow for in our flagpole policy. It's not recommended by government guidelines.
Well, I'd like to see the Union Jack flown a bit more. That's, I think, what Marion's saying. You know what I mean? Even when there isn't a flag up there, why can't we put the Union Jack up?
It's every day.
Is it? I don't see it.
You go up there, huh?
I know.
You do have to go there.
I'll notice it now.
You're next, followed by Emma. No, followed by Emma, followed by Anne.
Okay. I was going to make the initial point that Mark said. I just want to add to that very slightly. I think it's an all or nothing. And I think as a council, if we're going to approve one country's flag for their national day, then we do it for every country. As much as I fully appreciate that Trump is an idiot and the way he has gone about this, but having said that, if we allow these flags and we were to get a request for a Palestinian flag or an Israeli flag for their particular special day, then they should also be approved for the reasons that are said. There is a difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, which, and so that's what I would say. I will be supporting this motion, but would like to make the adage that it's all or nothing. We don't support one and not the other.
What I would identify with that, and understand what you're saying, is that each application by any national, let's say, organisation to have their flag flown on a particular day for a reason, they have to submit the request to this council. This council then do exactly what we're doing now, discuss it and make their decision accordingly. Right? It's not a fait accompli that hey ho, it's this day coming up. Otherwise, you could have someone pulling a different flag out every day of the year.
Sorry, I didn't explain it very well, John. I think what I wanted to say was, in the future, if I'm voting for these, I would vote for any country, even though I'm loath to do it for the USA at the moment. If then in a month's time it came from another country, personally, I would feel I did it for these, I've got to vote for the others. That's what I should have said.
Right, very briefly on the subject of two flags on the same pole. No, you can't do that. One would have to go above the other, which says something in flag language.
Flag protocol.
Yes, in fact, at sea, if you capture an enemy ship, you put your flag above theirs to show its surprise. So you can't do that.
Or can't trump that. When he's doing his pirate.
So we put something above the USA.
Continuing, Robbie.
Mayor, I completely sympathise with everything that's already been said, and I totally agree with Emma, it's all or nothing. But I would add to that, I think there should be an Evesham connection to whoever's national flag goes up. And if it's the Polish community in Evesham asking us, if it's the American community in Evesham asking us, then the answer should be yes.
Are they supplying the flags?
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Yes.
So as long as they supply it,
They supply
and there's no
it.
cost to us except labour winding it up, yeah.
Okay. Peter followed by Tim, and then we'll go to a vote, please.
Could I suggest that we fly the stars and stripes upside down? It signifies a country in distress.
After all, I wanted a Canadian flag.
Well, by accident, accidentally on purpose.
Accidentally.
Well, I just think the same as Emma does, that if we have one country's flag, we have to have every country's flag. And when you get a situation where Israel versus Palestine, then if we put one up, we've got to put the other up, and then we end up with everybody being unhappy about one of the flags being flown. I think the flag that's being flown on a municipal flagpole should, to a great extent, represent everybody in the community. And if there's a divide, then we shouldn't be flying it.
Yeah, that's.
So I will be voting against.
Right, with
the same reasons as Emma, but I'll vote the other way for the same reasons.
Yeah. The point is understood with respect. That's the point that Robbie made. Any resident of Evesham who wants a flag flying for their country, that nation has to have a connection to Evesham. Provided they've got that, they will come to this council, and this council will then make a decision based on the application that they have. So your point is made, and
well, I'm quite a strong supporter of the Palestinians, as many people know, but I would not support a Palestinian flag being flown on Hampshire Day.
Okay, well that is for a different debate, because there is no request for that at this time.
Yeah, insofar as that, these are two dates in their national heritage calendar. The 4th of July for their Independence Day, and the 2nd of May is the Polish Heritage Day. It's national and international. So it's not as if it's just a day that's been plucked out of the air. So if there was a national state date for Israel and or Palestine, then if that flag or that community presented themselves, then that would be exactly the same. But I would say it's the date is relevant at this particular instance, because it's their dates that they
can't arbitrarily just ask for it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's significant.
Okay, the time pressing on.
I'll just say something to come back, John. Just quickly. The aspect of this is we as a council, we represent the people of this town, right? Now, if you take Trump, I would say it's about 50-50 of the people against or for, right? So, by voting for the American flag, we're, in a way, even if, as you say, Emma, it's a national day, right? We're still going along with saying, yeah, we support what you're doing at the
I'm
moment.
not supporting Trump. No. I'm supporting the American.
Well, when do we make a statement that we're not supporting
beyond
from us?
Quiet, please. One person speaking at a time. One person at a time.
America will go on beyond Trump.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And at that point, you know, reparation or whatever happens, or how we create our bond again, I don't know. But at that point, at this precise moment in time, we have to respect the people of America, not Donald
I don't think they respect us.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Right, I'm going to have one more speaker and then I'm drawing it to the vote. It is now 8:10. The meeting will not go on beyond 9 o'clock, but we still have important matters to discuss.
I'll be really quick. Just to come back to what John said and to clarify and assume that what I'm saying is correct. By agreeing to allow them, we are not endorsing the flag. What we're doing is, because the town council owns the flagpole, we are giving them permission to use the town flagpole.
Correct.
Okay, so that's just to reassure John that this is not in any way a gesture that we support Trump or anything else or any other country. That's the way I see it anyway.
Right.
Sorry, it is because we voted to allow the rainbow flag, and that's definitely saying that we support a certain group of people.
Okay, I'm drawing it to a close now, and I'm looking for, unless I missed it before, a proposer that.
Sorry, Mark can propose it. I'll second it.
Well, I will propose we fly both flags. One of the names for both separately. That's fine.
I've been asked to vote separately.
Yeah, all right. I propose.
So I'm taking the USA flag first. So Mark as a proposer. Second, thank you, Emma. Votes. That is. Those in favour, we're talking about the American flag. Those against. Abstentions? That is carried. We now come on to the flag of Poland with the same criteria. The request has been made from the Polish community to fly the Polish flag on Saturday the 2nd of May to celebrate Polish Heritage Day.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a proposal from Mark. Seconded by
yeah.
Right, any comments? No. Straight to a debate, a vote. Those in favour? Those against? Any abstentions? That is carried.
I just wanted to make one question. I'm going to ask one question. This flag, whichever country it is, on their national day, is just displayed for that day. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, all week.
Okay, agenda item 12. Request for removal of councillor sanctions. There's no name to this, but I understand the councillor did make a request for this to be included on the agenda.
May I just say something, because I believe it's about me, just quickly beforehand, because I won't be taking part in any conversation after. It's just, and again, it's not rhetorical, it's not supposed to be attacking anybody. I'm a little bit confused, because having looked at the video, I wasn't at the meeting when the vote was taken. I'm not going to go into what was agreed or what wasn't agreed or what was misunderstood. That's irrelevant now. But one thing which confuses me slightly is that there were recommendations made by the investigator, if you like, which is then put forward by the monitoring officer to the Member Conduct Committee. And the Member Conduct Committee voted to approve those recommendations, and then those recommendations were put to the Town Council. I'm assuming that I'm correct in that order of things.
Correct.
Feel free to correct me, Mark, or any other district councillor who got that wrong. What I'm slightly confused about is that we have two councillors here, it's not a criticism or an attack, who were on that Member Conduct Committee and voted to put those sanctions and to approve those sanctions. However, sometime later after that, a few weeks, whatever it was, there was a vote, and it's irrelevant whether it was to the end of that civic year or the council term, that's irrelevant now. But from what I could see from the video, both those councillors also voted along with that, so they actually voted against themselves. So you're either voting to put a particular set of sanctions, and the recommendation was I'd be removed from committees for a period of 6 months. Mark Googe then said, I would like to say, rather than being suspended, that she is removed, but that was irrelevant because I wasn't on any committees at the time. And then said I would like to propose that it be to the end of, and I forget whether it was mayoral or civic year. And then when the minutes came out, it said something else. Again, that doesn't matter. The issue is that the recommendation from Wychavon was 6 months. And this council then decided to up it to what was, in effect, almost 2 years. And you either accept recommendations or you don't. You don't, even if it just seemed to me at the time, and I had no prior warning of this, it seemed to be very harsh, particularly, and I'm not going to go into details, when there have been other misdemeanours by other councillors where there's been no referrals to the monitoring officers for them, and I just feel that there needs to be a bit of parity. I was just confused as to why those councillors basically voted against themselves. They could have rejected it at Wychavon level and said, no, we don't think it should be 6 months, we think it should be this, or we don't accept that, but then decided to go along and vote that it should be almost 2 years. That's all I will say. I will not say anything else, I promise, and I will not be voting on this issue. But I will be staying in here because I have no pecuniary interest in the matter.
So,
okay. Can I just put this forward first? I mean, I know you've got it written down.
my apologies, Julie, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's
Thank
because there have been
Yeah.
Comments
No,
made.
thank you
that
so
I
much.
missed the,
It's just that before you go to
before
anybody else, I'd just
recommendation.
like to say
Yes.
something. And I will be incredibly brief. It basically says what it says on the tin. I think things have been running in meetings a lot easier, particularly the last meeting and today. And I do think that to the end of a term of office, which is another 12 months, is a bit hard on the Avon voters. Let's put all party political things aside and what's gone is gone. I think Avon needs a bit of more representation on committees, and again, because not getting any at the minute. They can get Avon councillors going to meetings and speaking at any committee. No problem with that. And I know that that's going to be the things that people around this table are going to come back and say. But at the end of the day, if you say something and you want to put a proposal forward, you want to vote on it, you can't do that, can you? It doesn't make any ounce of sense. And I think Avon deserve better. Avon, you got my vote, you deserve better. And that's all I'm going to say. We need to put it aside and move forwards.
Thank you. So,
Evening all.
please, as brief as you can, I know conscious of time.
I'm just going to point Councillor Haynes and then my quick thought on each one. Number one, the Town Council meeting of March the 9th this year went well. This year. Went well. However, completely different aspect if we disagree.
Number
Sorry,
two.
I didn't hear that, sorry Sharon.
So basically, when we're all getting on, the meeting's fine. But then if there are disagreements, that's when the problems start. Tonight, again, hasn't been too bad. Number two, perhaps councillors who are not on a certain committee could raise any concerns they have at the next council meeting when the minutes of that particular committee are discussed. Number three, yes, I agree, Councillor Nishigaki's contributions can be authoritative and valued. However, possibly she deserves the respect, but I do not think she deserves the trust to vote. Trust has to be earned and not over just 1 or 2 meetings. Number four, yes, Avon Ward is unrepresented on all committees. However, in the time I have been on the council, almost 2 years, both representatives of Avon Ward have also missed several town council meetings at the same time, which means Avon Ward is not represented on all these occasions. Surely you should be seen to be turning up to all town council meetings first before applying for any positions on the committees. And before anything is said, please do not try to put the blame on Councillor Campbell-Muir for non-attendance after the pathetic and wasted taxpayers' money of the last court case last week. I still have.
don't understand the relevance. It's got nothing to do with me.
I still have 100% attendance in both Town Council and Planning and Estate Committee meetings, representing my ward of Fairfield, and I am proud of that fact. 5. How can we resolve the circumstances of the ban when Councillor Nishigaki still has some ongoing issues with social media and the incident with regards to the agenda papers in the auto lounge after last town council meeting of the 9th of March 26?
Sorry, I couldn't hear some of that, but I don't understand the relevance.
John?
I don't have any ongoing social media issues whatsoever.
I spoke to the members of the public about this. We have a public meeting next week. I'm tired of this being thrown around this council. Let's give the public the decision. Right, I spoke to Mark and a few other people about it. We're actually quite in agreement that let the public decide. Then you can't blame us next year. Right, we've got a public meeting next week. Excuse me, I'm talking. We put it out there. We say to the public, you know, you're the people who voted her in. Do you want her on committees? Because I'm sick and tired of being asked whether the ban for me stays. Right? It stays. Right? She can't be trusted.
Please don't interrupt.
She can't be trusted. She can't be trusted. We watched her with the documents at the auto lounge. Give them to the barman and tell him to read it.
I gave my documents
No, you
to
didn't.
the clerk.
That's what you did.
I gave my documents to the clerk.
No, you didn't. It's not about your documents. As I said, we watched what she did. She can't be trusted. She can't be trusted with data. So no, she doesn't belong on any committee.
John, I'd be very
concerned.
careful because I've got a screenshot on my phone of a conversation you had last night.
Go
which
for
is
it.
actually a criminal offence.
Go
So
for
I
it.
would be very, very careful what you say.
Go for it.
I did want to go because I'm now actually very, very, very upset and triggered. I don't have any social media problem. There have never been any issue of trust. When it came to pink papers, I'll tell you exactly what happened with pink papers. There were some pink papers, not mine. I gave mine to Joe at the end of last meeting. Did I or did I not, Joe?
I don't really.
Didn't say they were yours.
Well, hold on.
People coming up to me.
So I gave my papers to you. We stayed in auto. At the end of the evening, there were some pink papers left in there, and I handed them to the barman and said, "These have been left behind. They're confidential. Could you please dispose of them?"
Oh, you better read them. Oh, there's some really juicy information in there. That's what you said.
Enough.
You know, you basically made it out.
Sorry, I can't
Now, listen, it needs to be said. What you were doing was causing trouble, as you always do. You are not even...
John.
I'm sorry, what she did in that auto lounge was she gave private personal information to a member of the public to read and did it on purpose. And that's what needs to be said in this council, and that's why she doesn't belong on any committees.
And you've
Thank
made
you.
that, you've made that.
I've had my point.
The meeting was going extremely well, till suddenly, and I guess this was going to happen, a fuse has been lit. It is now extinguished. If I see any further raising of voices, whoever it is will be excluded from this chamber.
I'm going to leave anyway, John, because I won't be able to keep my temper.
Excluded.
I must be.
We have a proposal from the agenda by Councillor Julie Haynes that, could you repeat it for me please so I get the wording right, Julie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is that Councillor Nishigaki be allowed to stand nominate herself for committees when the committees are next voted on? It's literally that she be allowed to put herself forward so that she can then be voted on committees and give a vote for Avon Ward.
Is there a second?
Not proposal yet.
Any further discussion?
Oh, just, it's not a discussion. Yeah.
You did make a comment that you didn't want to be involved.
I know, but I wasn't aware of the fact that I was going to be completely misrepresented and absolute lies said. And I would be more than happy to get a sworn statement. I gave my papers, somebody left their papers behind. You maybe need to be looking at who left their papers. He then told me a few days later when I went in for lunch that there were several occasions when papers had been left and he described the person who had left them, and it doesn't matter. All I said to the clerk is, or words to the effect of, can everybody be very careful about that. It is true that I picked up papers and I gave them to the member of staff. Maybe I should have carried them out with me. Yes, absolutely, I accept that. But he did not read them. I did not invite him to read them or say anything else. And I am absolutely sick and tired of lies being said in this chamber. That's actually a public order offence that has just
I'm
taken...
prepared to make a statement in a court of law if I have to, right? And also take a statement from the bar that you actually did say what you did.
Sorry, I thought you were going to stop this.
I've just had...
You're calling me a liar. I am not a liar.
That's enough.
I know what I heard.
That's enough.
No.
She calls me a liar once more.
Enough.
You are lying.
Enough.
No, I'm not.
Enough.
You're evil.
I'm now calling on a vote. We have a proposal. We have a second. Those in favour of...
What are we voting on? Just
we're
so I
voting
know.
on the motion that Councillor Nishigaki be permitted to put her name forward for committees and outside bodies.
What does that actually mean? Put her name forward.
I'd be allowed to apply to go on a committee. It doesn't mean you have to vote for me.
A sanction was passed by the council in a meeting last year.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
I got that.
I'll do that.
Yeah, no, I remember all that, but it says on here, end of term.
End of term.
It's quite...
Yeah, that's what we're voting to. The proposal is that we change that to end of this year, so that
Not end of term.
the original sanction ran until the end of this council's term.
That's what I
the
thought.
The proposal is to change the sanction to end at the end of this year, so that in the next civic year, which will begin next month, Emma will be able to put her name forward to be voted for committees. That's the proposal. You vote.
So put her name forward. That's
yes.
as far
So
as...
the vote,
That's all.
so
You
the
don't have to vote for
yes
it.
to that is to allow her to put her name forward to committees.
Yeah.
Right, before I call a vote, is everybody clear 100% what you are voting for?
Yes. I am now, yeah.
Okay, so we have the proposal, we have the second. Those in favour? Those against? Very good. The motion is defeated.
What about
Abstentions?
Oh, sorry, abstentions? My apologies. Okay, the motion is defeated. We now move on to agenda item 13. Public bodies. In accordance with Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act, Local Government brackets Access to Information close brackets Act open brackets 1985 close brackets Schedule 12A, Part 1.1 and 4.14, public and press are therefore excluded from this part of the meeting. Item 14, staff matters. I propose that we go into the secret session. Do I have a second? Second, and right. Those in favour? Anybody against?